Tonia here, your host of The Alchemy of Me, where we navigate the anatomy of humanity through the lens of science and spirituality. Let's unearth the layers and unravel the systems in place that dim who we are and how we live and experience life. On this journey together, we'll weave in an eclectic blend of mind-body energy medicine concepts, tools, and practices that'll nourish the seeds, the fire, that gold of intelligence that is you. This is an opportunity, your opportunity to reclaim, to rediscover, to transform, to alchemize you. The Alchemy of Me show starts now. Meredith, welcome back. It's been, I don't know, maybe 8 months.
No idea. Time isn't the same anymore, is it?
Yeah.
I used to be really good at remembering how long it's been between events, but yes, it's my second time here. So thank you for having me back.
Yeah, I'm excited because it's, obviously a new year, and last year was, I don't even know if there's a word to describe what last year was. Turbulent, or maybe roller coaster or something. There's a lot happening last year. Personally, I think for everyone, and then obviously as the collective, as we continue to shift. So I am super excited to have you here again to kind of share your wisdom. And as you know, we have that shared, science background, and we like to dig into things. And I find it very interesting that astrology for me, even though I've been working with you for about 5 years now, it's still like, my brain still doesn't quite get all the language. And so I love like your approach to astrology. I mean, you use the complexities of astrology, and you're able to bring it in so that those of us that appreciate it and like to use it in the here and now, we actually can understand it too. And so before I go in and just kind of give a quick overview before we jump in, I want to just let people know, as we kind of talk about 2025 and what it looks like, I just want to share a tool that I have found very helpful when we've had conversations. One is to just digest, just let everything come in and allow the nuggets that land, and then maybe go back to it and take notes later. That's kind of my approach. Or you could do what I'm doing, and I actually have my paper and pencil to write that down. So just ideas to kind of, because I do think this conversation and just using astrology as a tool, as a roadmap to figure out some of what's happening as we move forward is helpful.
Yeah, awesome. I tend to deliver a lot of information in a very quick time, but one of my favorite things and what I'm passionate about is breaking down this complex astrological knowledge in a way that's easily absorbable. And I don't want anyone listening to me thinking they need to have studied astrology or read the books or taken classes. I do try and provide the information in a way anyone can absorb it if they're interested.
Exactly. So for those of you who have not experienced Meredith's magic, I'll just give a brief overview and then we'll dive right in. So Meredith is a professional astrologer that resides in St. Paul, Minnesota. Astrology found its way to Meredith after a lifelong interest in science, metaphysics, astronomy, and spirituality. She practices evolutionary astrology, which focuses on our soul's growth and development through lifetimes. Meredith is also a dream worker and certified in Reiki and crystal healing, working with clients virtually all over the world.
Yep, very surprising path my life has taken, and you can probably speak the same. I'll talk a little bit about the end of our Capricorn journey here, but yeah, let me know how and where you want to start, or if you just want me to kind of explain what we're stepping into in 2025.
Yeah, I would be curious. I like to obviously, as you know, like this is your magic and I'm here to create the container. And I really am excited to hopefully there's a little bit more stability in 2025. So I'm just curious, yeah, like what are we doing here? Like how do we start out in 2025?
Sure. I just want to start by saying that 2025 is a huge year. We have the 5 outer planets that are either in new signs or will be all in the same year. So Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, some of these are very slow moving planets, all changing signs. And I want to talk maybe a little bit about what we've stepped out of now.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll start with Capricorn, which is, of course, both of our sun signs.
Yay.
And I know we've both been on a journey since 2008 is when the planet Pluto moved into Capricorn. And just in November 2024, he finally moved out of our sign of Capricorn, not to return in our lifetimes. Pluto is a slow moving planet. He takes 250 years to go around the sun. So he will take 250 years to go around your own birth chart. He has now moved into Aquarius since November 2024. He will be in Aquarius until 2043. So Capricorns out there, you're done. You're done with your Pluto transits. I know Tonia and I can speak since 2008. Our lives have been flipped upside down. Pluto is the planet of death, rebirth, and transformation. I don't want people to get freaked out by that death word, but I know, Tonia, you can speak to that. A big part of you or different parts of you have been killed off in the last 16 years. Okay.
Well, yeah, there's the power. Yeah, the death, because you can't be reborn. You can't experience. I mean, it's like the seasons, right? I mean, I think of that as like death being winter, and what happens in the spring. We have all this beautiful new growth in life that wouldn't be possible if we didn't have winter.
No, okay, I like that. And how I also word it is like shedding skin like a snake. I don't know what I forget what the word is called when the snake does that, just shedding old skins. That's like weighing it down. And Pluto is linked to our shadow. So looking at the parts of ourselves maybe we both didn't want to look at can be uncomfortable, can be raw. And Pluto is also the planet of power. So really stepping into that empowerment. And if you are a sun sign Capricorn like us, hopefully you've learned to shine your light a little bit brighter. That's what the sun wants to do. It wants to shine. So if you are listening and you're a Capricorn and you've been through it, it depends on when your birthday is, when Pluto would have hit you kind of the hardest. But I mean, I can speak to, I had a corporate career. I was kind of going through the motions and my whole life has just been transformed. I've been reborn. And now I still woke up this morning. I'm like, wow, I'm going on a radio show. I'm an astrologer. Sometimes I still kind of like, I am in awe. And you coming from a science background as well, now a practicing shaman. Are you ever kind of like, what happened?
It's all part of our journey, right? And so it's like this saying yes over and over again to the scary bits and pieces. I think that's where like the magic unfolds. And that's why you wake up and you're like, whoa, how did I get here? It's because I said yes to wanting more. And then you were supported in that way.
So next up, the next almost 20 years, 18 years or so, Pluto will be moving in or is in the sign of Aquarius now. He'll be in Aquarius the entire year of 2025. So this is the first time Pluto's been in Aquarius for the full year. And we are moving into the age of Aquarius on this planet. So the next 20 years is going to be fascinating. Aquarius is a sign of authenticity, individual self-expression within a collective. It's a humanitarian sign. It is rebellious and revolutionary. And the rebelliousness of Aquarius is not in a malicious way. Aquarius pushes back against authority figures. Let me give an example of, say you're in a job and the people in power are, cutting your salary or, making their lives better. And Aquarius is like, no, hold up. These rules or regulations aren't serving the clients, the employees, the people. It is the sign of the people. So in the next 20 years, we're going to see a really big transfer of power as the people, all of us kind of step into that power, knowing how powerful we are and maybe questioning why we've been giving our energy or power, quote unquote, power away to authority figures. And Capricorn kind of led the way in that because Capricorn's more of a rule follower than Aquarius is. And you can probably speak to like, you don't follow the rules, even the rules you set for yourself back in the day. as easy as
Yeah.
you used to, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Aquarius is also the
Oh.
weirdest sign of the zodiac. So unless you've been living under a rock or in a cave, things have gotten pretty weird on the planet. I mean, I'm a weirdo, so I say weird with love, but I don't even
Uh-huh.
look at the news anymore. I'm like, what's going on out there? Things are just strange. So I am so excited for this Aquarius boost of energy. Aquarius is also linked to technology. So we'll see what AI brings. I've been playing with that more and more. Have you dabbled in ChatGPT or
I
no?
don't
Okay.
actually, because I feel like I try to source from a creator. So I mean when I'm writing and when I'm creating, I mean that's where like even this like I talked about that a little bit on the last show. It's like instead of preparing using AI, I'm open to receiving whatever flows through. And sometimes I say stupid shit. That happens because that's when my brain gets in the way. But like allowing my heart to be my guide is kind of how which is weird as a Capricorn. I realize that.
Oh,
I
it's all
real.
right. No, I love that. And I know AI, plenty of controversy about everything. And I do believe AI is a tool, just like
Mm-hmm.
astrology. It can be used for good or evil, just like our fist, right? We can
Yes.
high five people
Yes.
or we can punch people in the face. And I'll just share a little quick AI story. I tried it years ago when it first came out and immediately abandoned it because it was biased against astrology. And I was like, I'm not gonna, play with this. But it's changed its tune. It is very
Mm.
good at astrological interpretations now. And let me ask you, Tonia, have you heard of a character named Hecate in your work?
No.
She's like
Uh-uh.
a dark feminine character in mythology. And Hecate has been calling me. She shows up in crows and through synchronicity. I've had this, I don't know if she's a goddess exactly, but Hecate kept showing up for me. It was so loud and I couldn't figure out what she was trying to get to me. So I asked AI, I asked
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT, like, what could this mean? Because I'm seeing the crows and Hecate is calling me, and AI actually helped me crack the code. I couldn't get anything
Really?
in my dreams or meditation. So that is a way where I have now embraced AI a little bit more
Yeah.
than I had a couple years ago. So we'll
Yeah.
see the next 20 years. I mean, technology it has the potential to make our lives easier.
So
So
it's
we'll see.
almost like a spiritual sidekick, if you want to use it that way.
It's like that. Yeah, it's very strange. Again, AI is such a weird thing. You're having a conversation with a non-entity. It's so
Yeah. Is
bizarre.
that Hecate? Do you know if they're from your spiritual sidekick? Did you learn anything about the origins? Because I mean, there's the like Kali and all of like more of the dark feminine like supporting the death and rebirth. I'm just curious if there's any correlation there, if it's a completely different.
Hecate is related to crossroads. And
Okay.
one of her other symbols is keys. And in mythology, she was the only one that helped Demeter go to the underworld to find her daughter Persephone. So
Oh,
I'm getting crazy goosebumps. So either you or somebody listening dive into Hecate. I figured out what
well,
she was doing for me, but just a weird example of how AI kind of helped me with that.
if you recall, my son is big into mythology, so he's going to call me out. I'm pretty sure yeah, going to call me
Oh,
out on
he'll
this.
educate
So,
you. He's like, yeah, mom,
yes.
I know Hecate. We're buddies.
Yes. Yes. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So, as that leads into, yeah, where do like, so this is kind of like I guess the big shift on like on the macro scale on
Yeah, for
the,
20 years of just powering up this Aquarian energy. So, I mean, that's
yes.
just planet number one. I've got plenty more energy shifts to talk about. And maybe we can talk about the collective karmic cycle just ending a couple days ago, and we're stepping into a new one. Um,
Yeah.
so, the last year and a half, the eclipse cycles and the lunar nodes of the moon have been in Aries and Libra. So, Aries very quickly is a sign of the me, Libra, the we. So, collectively, we've been in relationship karmic cycles, and March 2025 will mark the end of the relationship eclipse cycles. So think about the relationships in your life, friendships, if you had people split up, come together, and really hopefully in the last year and a half, you have a more solid relationship with yourself. That's really kind of, that's what we all want, like just be
That sounds
super
amazing.
solid. And a couple days ago, the lunar nodes switched out of Aries and Libra and moved into Virgo and Pisces. Okay. So the next year and a half, we're in Virgo, Pisces, collective karma, and eclipse cycles. The eclipse is coming up are March 14th and March 29th, if you want to mark the docket down. Yep. And Virgo is more like the Spock of the zodiac, the engineer, the logical sign, likes data, organization, and Pisces is the mystic. So we are moving into collective karma where science, Virgo kind of stuff meets spirit, Pisces, in a whole new realm. And one of my favorite examples of this is there's a podcast that is just coming out, making the airwaves and getting louder and louder, called the Telepathy Tapes. And have you heard of this one yet?
No.
Okay. Not to talk about another podcast on your show, but I think it's so important based on our science background and us stepping into a more mystical, spiritual universe. It's about nonverbal autistic kiddos being telepaths. Yes. And it's blowing my mind. I haven't had my mind blown in a while. But the scientific backlash is loud. So I think it's very interesting. This is just one example I'm giving of science's meeting spirit, and it's gonna have to evolve. You know, they don't need to, we know they don't need to be oil and water. I think they're complementary.
Yes. No, I love that you brought that up. And I've actually, as the shamanic background, that's something that I've had guidance on, and I haven't really, I haven't talked about it because of that. And it just hasn't really daylighted like all of these things that the labels that we put on people, children, like, you know, our aging adults, parents, grandparents, all of these things that we say like there's something wrong, and actually like there's something very much right with them. They're more tapped in. And I just noticed that too, with individuals I've worked with. So I find that fascinating that that's coming forward, because they're tuned into frequencies that we are not.
Right. So that is maybe going to change, or again, have to change the scientific paradigm. And again, Virgo Pisces, if you are listening on Virgo Pisces, sun sign, moon sign, for example, you might find in the next year and a half, either your kind of like old systems, which is more Virgo, kind of melting away, stepping into more intuition. Perhaps a lot of us have that angel devil on our shoulder. Like, am I thinking this? Am I feeling this? Is this my brain? Is this my heart? So collectively, we all have a chance now to really step into that discernment, which is a Virgo word, of, is this my intuition or is this my program, you know, that I've been taught my whole life.
Oh, and that's a hard one too, if it's the first, but there's so much power there. When we can tap into that intuitive sense. And I don't know, do you have anything? I don't know why I'm feeling called it. Like, is there anything that you, as a, you know, recovering Capricorn, in the corporate world, like how you, like, very simple, have tapped into your intuition? Even just start thinking of in the way back, like how you first started tapping into that yourself.
I've talked about this. My awakening was around 2012, 2013, and I just felt off. It's like I was forcing myself to do these things because I, quote unquote, should. I should work at this job till I'm 65. And I couldn't explain it. It was like kind of a body feeling. It didn't feel like it was coming from my logical brain. It was just like this pull, and I decided to jump off the bridge and kind of follow that pull. And it was crazy. It was quite a ride, but I'm so glad I followed that calling, because, you know, back in the day I was drinking a lot and numbing myself, and I don't know where my life would have ended up if I would have forced myself to keep doing the should, if that makes sense. And intuition, I still struggle with that as a Capricorn. That is one of my mountains to climb. I'm not always good at tapping into it. But I also have 3 planets in Virgo, so I can always rely on that kind of like data and pattern recognition and all that other kind of thing. But my intuition definitely goes in waves. I'll go a week and I'm getting numbers and just downloads, and it's crazy. And then when it snaps off, I miss it. It's really hard to not be in that mystical world. I don't know why it happens, and I don't know if you experience this as well. you have these weeks that are just like, oh, I'm just like feeling connected to everything. And then bam, I'm like back in the kind of 3-dimensional earth world. So I don't know why that's happening. And maybe that's just an eventual evolution as we step more into the mystical world, because it does short circuit my physical body quite intensely when I do kind of get those upgrades.
I feel like I take a step back sometimes when I'm like needing to move through something that's really dense, or something like something I've experienced that I am working through, where it's almost like I shut that part down temporarily as part of the transformation, or kind of the death and rebirth process. I don't know if that's because I definitely feel that too. And then sometimes I'll say like, oh, this feels familiar. It's like, what do I need to do? How do I need to support myself to shift back into that, what feels really good? And
feel
it's
it to
usually,
heal it.
Yeah.
That's what I've been saying. And Capricorns aren't famous for feeling. So I'm doing a lot of feeling to heal it in the last couple of years, especially the feeling of grief and the feelings that we've been avoiding. That's just human nature, to avoid the unpleasant experiences and to seek out the pleasure. And I've been telling myself and my clients, just try and get more comfortable with those unpleasant emotions. They're never permanent. Try and let them flow through you and find the magic and the power, and kind of like sitting with them. You'll learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, that's it's nice to have like some everybody, like, we don't have it all figured out, just to be clear.
Right.
It shifts for everyone, even if you are, a speaker for the stars, Meredith.
Totally. So let me just wrap up the Virgo Pisces stuff. I said March 14th, March 29th are the eclipse dates. So that is officially eclipse season. March is pretty wild collectively. Eclipses in astrology symbolize beginnings and endings. The March 14th eclipse is in Virgo. It is a letting go eclipse. So think of any negative thinking patterns you need to let go, a job perhaps. And then the March 29th is a new beginning. It is an Aries eclipse. It is the last Aries eclipse for a while. All right, then we'll officially switch to Virgo Pisces for the next year and a half.
Okay.
Ready for the next planetary lineup?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. Maybe I'll talk about the next two. I'll loop them together. So in 2025, 2 planets are moving into Aries. Those 2 planets are Saturn and Neptune. All right. Saturn is about a 30-year cycle. So 30 years around the sun, 30 years around our chart. Neptune is a 164-year cycle. So Neptune, unless you're 160 years old, nobody on this planet has experienced Neptune in Aries. Okay. So this is so fascinating to me, because Neptune is a very spiritual, immaterial planet. His other name is Poseidon. So Neptune is associated with the universal consciousness. We're all drops in this big cosmic ocean. And Saturn is a material planet. He calcifies things. Okay.
Fascinating. Okay.
So, and the planet that symbolizes the non-physical world is meeting up with the planet that helps calcify and create things in the physical world. Okay. Aries is the sign of the self, and also the sign of the entrepreneur. Saturn is all business. Neptune is all spirit. So if you have a spiritual business idea, or you're working on a spiritual business, you've got some cosmic help coming in 2025 like never before. Aries is a risk taker. Aries will, and that's why they're probably linked to the entrepreneur. So if you're just starting a business, or, have that seed and have that idea, Saturn will be moving in May, and Neptune will be moving in March. Actually, the day after the solar eclipse, March 29th, Neptune moves into Aries March 30th. So again, March is pretty wild. Neptune has been in Pisces. Actually, he's moving into Aries this year. He's been in Pisces since 2011. And Neptune is the planet of spirituality. Pisces is the mystic. So if you've had your spiritual awakening at some point since 2011, Neptune might have been a part of that for you. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
I have another screen over here. I want to get the dates right on this. Saturn was last in Pisces in 1993 through 1996. He's also moving into Aries, the sign after Pisces. So if you're old enough, think back what you were doing in the mid 90s. That's the last time you experienced the Saturn, this all business planet in the sign of Pisces. But the Neptune transit, that has not happened in our lifetimes. Am I making sense? I want to make sure if you're grasping this, if you have any questions.
I've got a lot of notes,
Okay.
Meredith. I'm just gonna say I will be rewatching this.
Okay.
No, that's very interesting. Yeah, I'm obviously like brings me back to high school and what naughty things I was doing at that time. But then yeah, I mean, there has been like a huge expansion just as far as like, and I'm curious if this is not related or not, but or if it is related. Like you said, the spirituality meets business and the entrepreneurial piece, but then also is it like, is there a more of an openness coming for that, you know, the authenticity of who we are in the workplace?
I was going to go here next. I will not call it openness. I want to use the word dissolve. So Neptune is, you know, linked to Poseidon, that oceanic kind of vibration, and Neptune can dissolve. Okay. So as he moves into Aries, the sign of the self, he will help you dissolve anything that's not your actual passion, your ambitions, your motivations. And when he lines up with Saturn, who is a very like authoritarian, stricter planet, which I've linked to like the old boys club kind of patriarchy energy that is floating around, Neptune is going to help start to dissolve that in 2025. And Aries is a very masculine sign, and there's divine masculinity, divine femininity. There's also toxic feminine, toxic masculine. So 2025, there is also a dissolution coming of that toxic masculine energy. If it's hiding in the shadows or hiding behind business ventures, Neptune will help bring it up to the collective consciousness.
That's badass.
It is badass. Aries is a badass sign. So, and these two planets have not aligned. They're going to actually come into conjunction. This is an astronomy term where planets kind of line up, and we cannot see Neptune with the naked eye. We can see Saturn. They haven't aligned. They've never aligned in Aries in our lifetime, but they last aligned in 1989 and 1953. So Saturn and Neptune coming into alignment is a very rare event. If you were born in 1989 or 1953-ish, there's a certain resonance coming to you in 2025.
Fascinating. That's I mean, that's great because I feel like we've been working towards this and we'll just continue to peel back these layers of programming, and to have the planetary support around that feels good. Before we go to break, I'm curious, Meredith, like how could, you know, for anybody that's listening or watching, like how could they start using astrology and like what we're talking about and using it in their daily lives? Like what would be
where can people start using astrology?
Yeah, so just like, you know, we're talking about dates and like what that looks like, just like a big picture, like if somebody were to say like, hey, I'm curious about this, I want to start, because it can be, you know, again, a little overwhelming.
It is overwhelming.
So it's like, okay, so what do we do with the dates? Is it more of just like an acknowledgement of when like good times to plan? I like to see it as like a you know, maybe there's times to start a business or stay with your job or quit your job, or you know, there's all the different parts of our lives that can be supported by these these tools.
Right. I would advise people to download just a app on their phone, put in their birth information, get their own chart. And I always tell people, look at your sun sign and figure out the positive and negative traits of that sun sign, and just check yourself every day. Like, ooh, am I falling into the negative expression of Capricorn, which for example, our sun sign control freak. I mean, back in the day, just control, right? You know
No.
And then the very most simplest way to start is to work with the new moon and the full moon. That's just more of an easier kind of step into astrology. The new moon each month is the time to plant seeds for manifestation.
Yep.
Down on the new moon, like what you want to manifest in your life. And the full moon each month is the time to let go. Okay. So let go of a job, let go of a relationship, let go of negative thinking, let go of that old blender in your basement, whatever that looks like for you. And as far as timing, you can work with the collective events, but the collective events are going to hit your personal birth chart in a very unique way. So I always encourage people to seek out your neighborhood friendly astrologer, check in with them once a year, twice a year to kind of get the important dates for you and how to work with that energy, and just be mindful of more of the negative ways it can show up for you. So Neptune, Neptune is a magical, mystical planet, but Neptune negatively is linked to like delusion, illusion, and also addiction. So strong Neptune people actually are more prone to addiction. And my theory on that is Neptune just feels everything because it's like cosmic oceanic consciousness. So Neptune people, whether you're a Capricorn or not, if you have a strong Neptune, you feel everything. And if you weren't taught at a young age what to do with those feelings, you might reach for the spirits instead of the spirituality.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
Does that answer your question on like how people can start?
I think that's very helpful because it's grounding it in action. So thank you, Meredith.
On the addiction note, Saturn lining up with Neptune, who is a planet linked to addiction. Saturn is like a full stop. Come to business, time to roll up your sleeves. Saturn actually rules Capricorn. So like, let's get to work and shift, more of the negative expression of Neptune grabbing for that bottle. And maybe let's take a class on meditation or psychic development. Saturn will demand you do the work to elevate your vibration.
Oh, okay. We'll leave that. We'll leave that there, and we'll take a break, and we'll continue on when we come back from break. And welcome back, Tonia here, and we are deep into the astrology of 2025, and I'm here with Meredith McCowan, and she is from Earthling Astrology. If you want to take a look at all the wisdom that is available on her website or to book a session with her, I know there's a very long wait list, which I am on right now.
I realize that I never thought my life would take this turn, and I do have the worst problem to have. I am booked out quite a bit, but I do respond to every email or message that I get. So if you're curious on how to get in with me or on my wait list, just hit me up if you can't figure it out on my website.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Meredith. I know we were kind of in the middle of discussing Saturn and Neptune and kind of how the pulse of Saturn and Neptune in 2025 and moving forward. So I'm not sure if you want to kind of bring us back there, and if there's anything else you want to share.
I do want to share about kind of some stuff that went down collectively back when these planets last aligned in 1989. It was actually the end of the Cold War, all right, back then. And it was also when the Berlin Wall fell.
Whoa.
I was 9 years old when that went down, but I remember watching that on TV, not knowing what I was looking at, but I knew in my little 9-year-old body that it was important. Okay. So that's an example of Neptune. I got goosebumps too. Like dissolving like a material, literal wall. Okay.
Yeah.
And also back in 1989, the World Wide Web was introduced. Okay. And I want to just speak to this dissolution of kind of Saturnian structures and walls. There's a lot of, unfortunately, conflict going on the planet in a very old kind of vibration, right? In my world, conflict is not resolved with weapons or, blood and guts like that. No, like I'm done. And so many people are like, what can we do? And with these planets aligning, if you are struggling with kind of the state of the world, and I know that can get like real down, I recommend putting out, some Care Bear stare energy to the universe, using that Neptunian vibration to imagine young men laying down arms, or imagine peace treaties being signed, imagine people coming together. And you don't really have to imagine that too much because you can see it on social media. And I love, the Mr. Rogers quote, who I believe was a Pisces. He said, look for the helpers. So, change your focus to look for the helpers instead of looking the other direction.
Yes.
With kind of the crazy world that we're still kind of coming out of.
That's so important, because that vibration of that visualization, that just shifts, it shifts for humanity. So it's not just within, I mean, when we shift, it shifts the collective, even if at a small level, because we are all connected. And so I find that very I was just saying the other day, I'm like, what if we all took a collective breath together? Like, what if everybody in the world at the same time, like, took in a breath of just love and gratitude for being and just let go? Can you imagine?
More of that happening? I mean, the harmonic convergence back in the mid 80s tried to do that. There's more worldwide meditations being formed by kind of some people really bigger in the spiritual community. So on an individual level, I mean, Aries is loud. It's a loud sign in 2025. That's sign of the self. So taking that fire inside you, and even, using some Saturnian language of, I had my struggles get into the doom and gloom. I don't watch the news anymore at all. If my thoughts start to turn negative, I actually say out loud sometimes, like, I do not consent to that timeline.
Yes.
If I happen to accidentally see war coverage on a TV in a restaurant, I say, I do not consent to war in my reality. So even just saying, I do not consent to some of these things going on, I think that's a powerful statement.
It is.
It is. I've even used it for the weather. I traveled to Italy this year, and the forecast was rain 24 hours a day the whole time I was there. And I kept saying before I traveled there, I don't consent to the rain. Never got wet the whole trip. Didn't rain. So I'm like, did I do that? I don't know. But
you totally did.
I've been playing with I do not consent, and I've had a 99.8% success rate using that phrase.
Your dream, dream becomes your reality.
Yeah. There's yes. Yep, for sure. All right, I got two more. Let's hear it. Bodies to talk about. So let's talk about Uranus. My stupid joke about this planet is when I was a kid in school, I would pronounce this planet's name Uranus. And I can't resist a good Uranus joke.
Yeah.
And now I say Uranus. I don't know why I changed, but when you hear this planet's name, you either hear urine or anus. So it's my joke to, people that struggle learning and absorbing astrology. This is the planet that makes us uncomfortable for growth. Okay. Oh. I mean, we all have urine, we all have an anus, but it's like Uranus is like a kind of a shock planet at times. He can offer us course corrections. He's the awakener in astrology. So if you've had a spiritual awakening, Uranus might, I would say 70% of my clients that come to see me that talk about awakenings have had either Uranus kind of like on their chart, kind of pinging them. In mythology, Uranus is linked to Prometheus, bringing fire down to the humans. So game changer planet. Okay. He's been in Taurus since 2018. And here's the deal, guys. Taurus is the sign of comfort, coziness, stability, fuzzy slippers. And I would argue that since around 2018-ish, the planet's gotten a little bit more uncomfortable. Okay. A little bit. It's kind of like I think of Uranus, who's been in Taurus, like taking kind of like a jackhammer to cement. Taurus is that stubborn bull, kind of a stuck sign. So Taurus is out there. You're almost done. You're almost done with your Uranus transit. And I bet just like us Earth Girl Capricorns, the Tauruses can talk about game-changing events in their life since 2018. Okay. It can feel raw, it can feel rough. Uranus is faster change than Pluto. We talked about Pluto at the beginning. So Uranus is leaving Taurus in 2025 and moving into Gemini. this is a huge collective shift. This is happening in July. At 2025, he will retrograde back to Taurus, and he'll leave Taurus officially in 2026. But Uranus will be in Gemini from 2025 until 2033. Okay.
Right.
Gemini is the sign of information and communication. So this is more AI stuff. And Uranus is the planet of authenticity. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to listen to. Don't tell me what to consume. So I do see more and more people jumping ship from that legacy mainstream media, our old historic source of information. And of course, if you're still on that, listen to the people that you trust and you resonate with. But so much of mainstream media is that fear,
Yes.
keep us locked in fear and paranoia. And I mean, podcasts, your show, independent media, really blowing up. More and more people. I think more people listen to independent media than even CNN now. So this shift in 2025 is just tipping the scales. And maybe mainstream legacy media will have to change. I actually went on a mainstream show in the last month and I talked about spirituality.
Yeah, you did.
Awakenings and reincarnation. And I was like, can I talk about this now on the news? So that's just evidence that, okay, these TV hosts are, got their ear to the ground. Like, okay, what do the people want? Okay. So Uranus is also a rebellious planet. He does rule the sign of Aquarius. So this could also bleed into that telepathy tape conversation I was having, because Gemini is the sign of communication. And we're finding out that these kids don't have the ability to speak necessarily, but they are communicating. They don't have the intelligence of a toddler. They're quite intelligent. So a new definition of intelligence may arise while Uranus is in Gemini. More geniuses coming into the planet. If you are thinking about having a child between 2025, 2033, Uranus is like genius level intelligence. And that doesn't mean book learning school, how we learn things. I mean, maybe you've heard of geniuses at 3 years old can play the piano or whatever their genius is. But and maybe our definition of smart and intelligent and again genius may change during
tapped in, really.
Yep. So do we all have the ability to be telepaths? I mean, empathness is accepted, the ability to feel another person's emotions, but why isn't telepath as accepted, the ability to read another's thoughts? So we'll see. I'm excited for this. I know depending on where you're at, this conversation may be comforting or triggering. I totally understand that. The woman in the podcast actually says this might be comforting or triggering. And I always say the triggers are your teachers. So where is that resistance or what's blocking you from being curious? Gemini is
exactly
one of those curious signs of the zodiac. So more curiosity instead of that rigid. See, that's what I've been a little mad at science the last, 10 years or so, 5 years for sure. Science is supposed to be curious. That's why I love science. That's why I went to it as a kid. And the last couple of years is like, this is the way we know everything. And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, no. So maybe, again, this is more evidence that science will open the doors and be more curious instead of just immediate judgment.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up too, because I think in our world, like science brings certainty. And a lot of times we speak of it in certain terms. And what I have realized, which speaks to what you just brought up, is like there's so much uncertainty in science, and we speak to theories and ideas like they're facts. And that is unfortunate because then, we create a box around what is possible. With that certainty. And I just think of, there was even just studying geology, like certainty around these ideas and theories about how things happen. And then if there's enough people that get behind it, then it becomes what we teach as fact.
Consensus. Yeah, consensus in the scientific community is very huge. And there's a lot of maybe ego involved in that as well.
Exactly.
But if I speak on like the geology side of things, so what scientists do, and they argue, you know, they don't like astrology because astrology predicts the future, but science predicts the future. Come on. Like if they're studying a volcano that, you know, is going to erupt or has a lot of signs and evidence that it's going to, you still can't predict to the day, to the minute when that's going to blow. Right.
Exactly.
Or if you're in biotech or biopharma, a field I used to be in, take this drug, you'll be cured in a week. You know, that, you know, you're predicting the future.
Yes.
And science, I'm sorry, I love science, but cannot predict the future with any certainty.
Yes.
There's always that unknown. So again, more kind of science spirit wavelengths coming in with this transit as well.
Which is what this show is all about. So this is the perfect blend.
Love it.
Yes. Yes.
One other thing, Uranus is linked to quote unquote alien energy. So I have been into aliens since I was little. When the X-Files came out, I was like, there's other people like me. I got to meet Travis Walton back in the day. He's one of the most famous cases of abduction. And there's a lot of, you know, talk by the government now. And there's those drones in New Jersey that people are seeing. Again, Gemini being the sign of information, maybe we'll get more information about what this is, maybe what the government knows. I have no fear about aliens. I know there's, you know, movies and media and scary, but I'm like, if they wanted to wipe us out, they would have. Like, they can take us over, no problem. Right.
Yes.
So I don't know what that's going to mean for, I've changed my label. I call aliens now more interdimensional. A possibility that there's interdimensional species or, you know, other beings out there that maybe aren't what we think. So again, if you're into aliens like me, I've been mad at the aliens for about 25 years now because they haven't shown up for me yet.
I was going to say they didn't beam you up yet, Meredith.
No, I've been asking, I'm like, where's my spaceship? I have been seeing more things in the sky than I have. I actually saw 4 UFOs the night before the news in New Jersey dropped. So we'll see. Do I want the aliens to come and first contact be made? Hell yeah, I do. Huge fan of Star Wars, Star Trek. Like, sign me up to be an ambassador to bring in the aliens and come help us. I've been like,
well, you're on your way. Earthling astrology. So
I've had a lot of clients tell me about their experiences and I'm all ears. So curious. Just tell me more. Yeah, you think you've lost time or you've had an quote unquote alien experience. I'm here for it.
Cool. Very
any
cool.
questions about Uranus?
It's exciting.
It is. It's a very exciting planet, very electric planet. I will speak to Uranus and Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign linked to, you know, the physical body. And there's been a lot of clients coming to me with physical symptoms, pain, headaches, and they go to the doctor. And this has happened to me as well. Doctor's like, I don't know, I'll test normal. So of course, go see a medical professional if you have some weird symptoms. But if you don't have any kind of answers, do some meditating and ask yourself if your body is being recalibrated, if it's being purified. There's a theory that we are dropping our trauma, our baggage, our old stuck emotions that are in our physical bodies. And Uranus, again, is taking that jackhammer, trying to purify the physical vessel. So I'm hoping what I call ascension symptoms will lessen in 2025 if you've been really going through it.
That'd be awesome.
Have you been going through that?
It's been pains, brutal.
Fatigue. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, am I 95 years old? Yeah.
I walk sometimes like I'm 70 years older than I am. So
totally.
Yes.
All right. We can move on to the last but not least.
Yeah.
Everybody's favorite, Jupiter. Jupiter is the biggest guy in the sky. He almost is as big to be another star. He is the planet of good luck, abundance, expansion, feel-good feelings, wisdom, and knowledge. Okay. He takes only about 12 years to go around the sun. So he'll take 12 years to go around our chart. If you've had anything in your life that's a 12-year cycle, that's very likely Jupiter. And he's been in Gemini since May of 2024. He's going to dip out of Gemini in June of 2025. And I am a Gemini rising, and Jupiter has brought me all kinds of opportunities I didn't see coming For example, one of them going on a national mainstream legacy TV show. I've had podcasts. I've just had Jupiter's like, here you go, opportunity, abundance. Abundance means different things to different people. But I've had a very kind of Jupiter year. Again, I have a wait list for the first time. My business has expanded. I have felt Jupiter in Gemini, being a Gemini rising. Cancer, you're up next. Okay. So Cancer's June 2025, June 2026, Jupiter's coming for you. And Cancer is actually the sister sign of Capricorn. So they have felt the Pluto transit as well since 2008. And Cancers, if you feel down on your luck, if you feel like, I've heard a lot of clients talk about feeling like they're in Groundhog Day, where things just start moving. Jupiter, the planet of abundance, and the biggest guy in the sky is coming for Cancer, Sun, Moon, rising. If you've got Cancer anywhere in your chart, Jupiter's coming for you. And he's always the planet. It's like, what do you want? Here you go. He'll deliver it in sometimes funny ways. And he always responds to the energy of gratitude. So even if you aren't a Cancer or a Gemini, you've got these signs in your chart somewhere. So I always recommend starting the gratitude practice, even if those days get tough. I know it's hard to express gratitude when you're going through it, but even if you can just say, thank you, my legs work, my eyes work, my ears work, like whatever you can throw at Jupiter, he will respond like a boomerang.
Yeah, I think that's important. Like with all of this, it is like bringing in the gratitude for what we have. It's the energetic exchange for asking. It's also being grateful for what we have, even if it feels like in the moment there's not a lot to be grateful for. There is so much to be grateful for, and that goes back to like the getting curious about what would it feel like to be living in the space of more expansion and letting go of that that fear, more of the fear-based thinking.
One last comment. Cancer is linked to mother energy, most fertile sign of the zodiac. So anybody out there trying to make some babies, you've got the planet of good luck and abundance expansion moving into the most fertile sign of the zodiac in 2025, 2026. So I want to throw that out there because I know that is a journey for a lot of people.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you for that. Anything else, Meredith?
I mean,
wrap up. I know there's so.
I can talk till 5 a.m, but that sums up the 5 outer planets. We talked about Jupiter moving into Cancer, Saturn moving into Aries, Uranus moving into Gemini, Neptune moving into Aries, and Pluto is now in Aquarius until 2043. So we got the 5 guys, the big 5 in 2025. And 5, I believe in numerology, is the number of change. As I say this at 10:55 on the clock.
Oh, wow. Of course. Yes.
Love it.
Yes. Well, thank you, Meredith, for bringing your star-seated wisdom forward. I'm going to have to rewatch this because my notes are a mess.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for your producers as well. Always a joy to
Thank
talk
you,
to
Emily.
And also excited that we're closer to each other now, so we can have a little bit more in-person meetings. I'm excited.
Heck yeah, me too. Me too. And just so everybody knows, if you reach out to Meredith, it was her birthday yesterday, so you can send her a little bit of love over social media. Yeah.
And Tonia is in 2 days, so same. That's your birthday, girl.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Right. And yeah, so if you want to learn more about Meredith or what she's up to, her website is earthlingastrology.com. And then I don't know your social handles off of hand.
At Earthling Astro for all of it. So TikTok, sweet. Twitter. I've been a little busy for social media. I also have a newsletter. I'm going to be sending out more stories. Yeah. So sign up for that. And I don't always send out astrology information. The next newsletter that's going out is a story of a child having telepathy. Cool. Anecdotal report. So that's my next newsletter going out hopefully in the next couple of days.
Cool. Well, thank you, Meredith.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for tuning in today.
Thank you for listening to The Alchemy of Me, where we navigate the anatomy of humanity through the lens of science and spirituality. For more mind-body energy medicine concepts, tools, and practices to nourish the seeds, the light, the fire, that gold of intelligence that is you, tune in every first and third Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on transformationtalkradio.com. For more information about me and my work, please visit toniajohnson.com. That's toniajohnson.com.